He woke with the weight of starlight on his chest, a soft glow spilling across the chamber. The alien night sky shimmered through crystalline windows, 1,000 constellations casting pale silver over his new bride's body. Her skin glowed faintly in the light, iridescent, her curves outlined in an otherworldly sheen that left him breathless. He turned to her, sliding his hand down the line of her shoulder, drinking in the warmth of her form. She stirred, lips parting as her eyes opened, eyes burning brighter than he remembered, hungrier, filled with a flame that pulled him closer instead of letting him rest. He kissed her, soft at first, then deeper, until her hands gripped him with a strength that was not the same as the gentle woman he thought he knew. For the first time since their wedding, a chilling realization pierced his heart. The woman lying beside him, the one he had given vows to under the alien stars, might not be the sister he married. The thought struck him so sharply he pulled back, but her arms wound around him with such insistence, such desperation, that his protest faltered. Her lips grazed his cheek, her breath hot against his skin. "Don't stop," she whispered, voice low and sultry, a tone his wife had never used before. His chest tightened. The gentle, reserved woman he had wed would never speak like that. She would never kiss him with such consuming fire. Yet here she was, trembling against him as if she had waited her whole life for this moment. He stared at her in the silver glow. Her features were identical, high cheekbones, smooth emerald skin, hair that shimmered like woven light. She was every bit the woman he had fallen in love with. And yet, not. The eyes. The way she moved. The way her lips curved at the edge of a smile. This was not the same soul. He could feel it in his bones. His mind reeled back to the night of the ceremony, just a day earlier. The alien temple had been carved from crystal, each wall humming with living resonance, the sound of vows echoing through the chamber like music. She had stood before him then, his chosen bride, serene and luminous, her touch trembling as they bound their hands together. He had sworn himself to her, not just as a husband but as the human willing to bridge two worlds. His heart had beat so violently he had barely heard the priestess pronounce them united. And when he kissed her, it had been soft, tender, her lips shy yet eager, as though every brush of skin was a sacred promise. But now, this woman was not shy. Not reserved. Her body moved against him boldly, demanding his touch, her lips fierce, her eyes wild with desire. He tried to steady himself, to remember the gentleness of the one he married, but his senses betrayed him. Every sigh she made sent heat surging through his veins. Every look she gave made him feel claimed. And no matter how much he told himself this wasn't the same sister, he could not deny the magnetism pulling him closer. "Something's different," he whispered, voice strained, searching her gaze. "You're not." His words trailed off as her fingers pressed to his lips, silencing him. Her eyes gleamed in the starlight, daring, challenging, hungry. "Does it matter?" she breathed. "I am here. I am yours. And I have waited longer than you can imagine for this night." The words crashed against him like thunder. Waited longer? His wife had only met him months ago when his expedition arrived. How could she speak as though she had been waiting all her life? His mind screamed the truth, but his body was ensnared in the web of her embrace. She kissed him again, deeper this time, her lips tasting of longing and secrets he did not yet understand. He closed his eyes, fighting against the rush of emotion and desire. Something inside him whispered to pull away, to demand the truth. But another voice, louder, insistent, told him to surrender, just for a moment, to the fire he had never felt before. He had chosen love, yes, but this was something else. A force that consumed him. When she finally broke the kiss, her eyes lingered on him with an intensity that made his heart pound. "I will not let her have you alone," she whispered, almost too softly for him to hear. His breath caught. "Ha!" The word struck him like a knife. He pulled back slightly, searching her face, though every line of it was identical to his bride. The room spun with confusion, but her gaze pinned him in place, refusing to let him escape. Memories rushed through him, memories of the twin he had barely spoken to during his courtship. The other sister. The bold one. The one who had watched him from the shadows, her eyes never leaving his form even as he pledged himself to another. He had felt her presence during the ceremony, the way her breath had quickened as he kissed his bride, the way her hands had clenched at her sides. He had brushed it aside, convincing himself it was only his imagination. But now, lying in his arms, with lips that burned against his skin, was not the gentle wife he had chosen. It was her twin. His heart thundered as the realization sank in. Every nerve screamed at him to demand answers, but his lips faltered, his voice barely rising above a whisper. "Who are you, really?" Her smile was faint, dangerous, and achingly beautiful. She leaned closer, her lips grazing his ear, and whispered the words that would change everything. "You already know." His breath faltered at her words. "You already know." They echoed in his chest, filling him with both dread and desire. He pulled back, his hand trembling as it cupped her face. The features were the same, every curve, every angle, every delicate contour was identical to the bride he had sworn himself to. And yet, behind those familiar eyes burned a soul that did not belong to the woman he had married. He tried to stand, to put space between them, but she caught his wrist, her grip deceptively soft, her strength undeniable. "Please," she whispered, her voice trembling now, no longer filled with only fire but with something deeper, pleading, desperate. "Don't turn away. Not when I've waited so long." His heart hammered against his ribs. "This isn't right," he said, though his voice wavered. "I swore myself to your sister. I gave her my vow beneath your stars. This, she cut him off, pressing her forehead against his chest, "is real. Do you not feel it? The way your heart races when I touch you, the way your soul answers mine. You may have married her, but you belong to me." He swallowed hard, his hands frozen in the air, torn between pushing her away and holding her closer. Her words clawed at the walls of his resolve. Belong to her? He wanted to deny it, to protest, to shout that she was wrong, but deep inside, he couldn't. Because when she kissed him, he had felt a fire his gentle bride had never lit inside him. Her lips brushed against his chest, slow and reverent. "She is soft," she whispered, her voice breaking, "and she is kind. And she was brave enough to claim you first. But she lifted her gaze to his, and for the first time he saw tears glistening in her alien eyes. "I have loved you longer. I saw you when you first arrived, a stranger among us. I knew from the moment I laid eyes on you that you were mine." But she stepped forward, and her breath shuddered. I stayed in the shadows. He shook his head, stunned. His mind spun back to the day he had landed on their planet. The two sisters had been there, standing side by side, perfect mirrors of one another. He had spoken to them both, but one had lingered in his thoughts, the quiet one, the one who lowered her gaze when he smiled, the one who whispered her words like fragile secrets. He had chosen her, believing she was the one meant for him. He had never guessed the other had burned for him in silence. "Why didn't you tell me?" he whispered, his voice hoarse. "Because she is my sister," she said, her tears falling freely now. "My other half. To take what she wanted would have been to break her. And so I stayed silent. Until tonight." Her confession struck him harder than any blow. She wasn't only bold and fiery, she was wounded. A woman who had buried her love beneath duty and loyalty, until the weight of it became unbearable. And now, here she was, trembling against him, begging him not to turn her away. He should have stopped. He should have risen, walked from the chamber, demanded to see his true wife. But when her hands slid up his chest, when her lips touched his jaw with aching reverence, his strength melted away. He told himself it was wrong, but every beat of his heart betrayed him. He wanted her. Needed her. Her whisper broke the silence between them. "I cannot give you up. Not now. Not ever." His breath shuddered. He pressed his palms to her shoulders, torn apart by the war raging inside him. "If she finds out." "She will," the twin said softly, her voice almost a vow. "And she will hate me. But I would rather be hated than invisible." The words seared through him. Invisible. That was what she had been, standing at the edges, watching him fall in love with her mirror, watching the man she desired vow himself to someone else. And now, her desperation poured out in every touch, every kiss, every trembling word. The battle inside him broke. He leaned down, capturing her lips with his own, the kiss fierce and consuming, a confession of everything he could no longer deny. She gasped against him, her tears mixing with the heat of their mouths, her body clinging to him as though she would vanish if she let go. His mind screamed betrayal, but his heart thundered with a truth he could no longer escape. He wanted her just as deeply as she wanted him. When they finally tore apart, both breathless, her hand lingered against his cheek, her thumb tracing his lips. "Now you know," she whispered. "Now you cannot pretend." His chest heaved. He wanted to speak, to answer, to tell her he was lost, torn between loyalty and desire, between the vow he had made and the fire consuming him now. But before the words could leave his mouth, the chamber door slid open with a whisper of light. He froze. She froze. There, framed in the silver glow of the alien dawn, stood the woman he had married. Her eyes were wide, her lips trembling, her chest rising and falling with shallow breaths. But it was not confusion that marked her face, it was devastation. Tears welled, spilling down her cheeks as she stepped forward, her gaze fixed not on her husband, but on her sister pressed against him. "No," she whispered, her voice breaking, raw with betrayal. "Not you. Of all people, not you." The man's heart stopped. His wife's sorrow cut through him like a blade, sharper than guilt, heavier than shame. He reached out instinctively, but she staggered back, shaking her head. Her tears shone in the starlight, the silent echo of a heart shattered beyond repair. And in that moment, he realized the truth. He had not only betrayed his vows. He had torn apart the bond between two souls who were more than sisters. The room seemed to collapse around him, silence stretching into eternity as he stood frozen between them, the woman he had sworn to love, and the twin who had claimed his heart in fire. And he knew that nothing would ever be the same again. The silence in the chamber was suffocating. He stood frozen, his chest rising and falling with shallow breaths, caught between the two sisters. One clung to him desperately, eyes blazing with defiance and need. The other stood in the doorway, trembling, her tears falling silently, her hands clenched at her sides as though holding herself together was the only thing stopping her from shattering completely. His voice broke as he stepped forward. "Please, listen. Listen." His wife's voice cracked like glass, trembling with anguish. "To what? To the sound of my vows being broken? To the sight of my husband in my sister's arms?" Her tears glistened in the alien light, streaking down her luminous cheeks. "I trusted you. I trusted her. And this is how you repay me." The bold twin gripped his arm tighter, refusing to let go. Her voice shook, but it was laced with fire. "He was never truly yours. You knew it. You felt it. He looks at me, not at you. I have lived in your shadow long enough, I will not fade for you again." The gentle sister's face twisted with pain, as though those words pierced deeper than any blade. "You are my sister," she whispered, her voice breaking. "My other half. And you would take the one thing that was mine." "I did not take him," the twin snapped, her voice fierce with years of buried longing. "He chose me the moment he felt me. He knows it, even if he's too afraid to admit it." The man staggered back, his heart pounding, torn apart by their words. His gaze darted between them, every word a blade cutting him in two. "Stop," he pleaded. "Please, stop. You're both tearing yourselves apart. This isn't what I wanted." "Then what do you want?" his wife demanded, her voice breaking, her tears streaming freely now. "Do you want me, the woman who gave you her heart, who stood before all and bound herself to you? Or do you want her, wild, hungry, reckless, who takes what isn't hers without shame?" Her words lashed him with guilt, but before he could speak, the twin's voice rang out, fierce and unyielding. "Don't make him choose. He doesn't have to. He already belongs to us both, whether you want to see it or not." The chamber pulsed with tension, the crystalline walls vibrating faintly as if echoing the storm of emotions inside. His wife's knees buckled, and she fell to the edge of the bed, burying her face in her hands. Her sobs tore at him, each one a dagger of shame in his chest. He moved toward her, desperate to soothe her, but the twin pulled him back, her eyes pleading. "Don't leave me," she whispered. "Not again. Please." His heart wrenched. He was caught in a storm, pulled in two directions, and no matter what choice he made, he would wound one of them beyond repair. He knelt before his wife, reaching for her trembling hands. "I never wanted to hurt you," he whispered. "You are everything I swore myself to." But, he faltered, the words choking in his throat. He dared not finish. But you desire her, she spat, lifting her tear-streaked face to his. Her eyes burned with sorrow, with betrayal, but also with an agonizing truth. I see it in your eyes. You cannot deny it. He lowered his gaze, shame heavy in his chest. Silence stretched between them, a silence so heavy it felt like the air itself had thickened. Then, unexpectedly, his wife's voice softened. It was trembling, broken, but no longer sharp. Why? She asked, looking at her sister now. Why wasn't my love enough? Why did you need to steal what I had? The bold twin's face cracked, the fire in her gaze dimming with sorrow. Because I have spent my life watching you have everything. You are the gentle one, the cherished one, the chosen one. And I have been nothing but your reflection. Until him. For the first time, I saw someone who looked at me not as your shadow, not as half of you, but as me. I could not let that go. Her confession sent silence rippling through the chamber. The man stared at her, struck by the raw pain in her words. She wasn't only driven by desire, she was driven by years of invisibility, by a desperate hunger to finally be seen. His wife's sobs softened into quiet breaths, her tears shimmering in the light. She looked at her sister, her lips trembling. For a long moment, neither spoke. Then, slowly, she rose from the bed, her hands shaking, and stepped closer. Her eyes locked with his, and then with her twins. If you truly love him, she whispered, then you have already bound yourself to him. And I cannot undo what has been done. The man's heart pounded. He stared at her, unable to breathe. What are you saying? Her gaze flickered between them, heavy with sorrow, yet laced with something else, resignation. That perhaps fate was cruel in giving us the same heart to love. But I feel it now, he does not belong to one of us alone. Her words hit him like lightning. His wife's voice was soft, but the meaning was thunder. He turned to the bold twin, whose eyes widened in shock. For the first time, the fire in her gaze dimmed into awe. You're saying, he whispered, his voice shaking. I'm saying, she interrupted, her voice trembling, that whether I like it or not, we are bound together in this. All three of us. The twins' breath caught. She pressed a hand to her chest, as though the words had pierced her heart. The man felt his body tremble. His guilt, his desire, his love, it all churned into something new, something terrifying and profound. He looked at them both, their faces so alike yet so different, both bearing the same love that threatened to consume him. He couldn't speak. He couldn't move. The weight of what they were suggesting was too immense to comprehend. But then, in the silence, his wife stepped closer to him, her tears still glistening, and whispered words that left him breathless. You've already given yourself to us both. More than you realize. His heart lurched. The weight of her words pressed against his chest. He stared at her in shock, unable to understand. What do you mean? He asked, his voice barely a whisper. Her lips curved faintly, bittersweet and knowing. You'll see soon enough, she whispered. And in that moment, with the alien dawn casting its light over them, the man realized the truth was far deeper and far more dangerous than anything he had imagined. The chamber was heavy with silence, the air charged with words left unspoken. His wife's whisper lingered in the air like a haunting melody. You've already given yourself to us both. More than you realize. He stared at her, heart pounding, unable to make sense of her meaning. His eyes darted from her tear-streaked face to her twin's wide, trembling gaze. The two women, identical in body, yet worlds apart in soul, stood before him, and for the first time he understood the gravity of what bound them together. What do you mean? He asked, his voice low, ragged, desperate. His wife drew in a shaky breath, her hands pressing to her stomach. The glow of her skin pulsed faintly beneath her palms, a subtle rhythm that made his breath catch. She looked up at him, tears glistening in her eyes, but this time they were not only tears of sorrow. There was something else, something luminous, radiant, almost holy. I carry you inside me, she whispered, her voice breaking, yet filled with awe. Your child. Our child. The words shattered him. His knees buckled as if the weight of the revelation had struck him physically. His heart throbbed in his chest, his throat closing with emotion. A child. The life they had created together, growing inside her. His vow, his love, his bond with her was no longer abstract, it was living, breathing, taking form within her womb. He wanted to speak, to fall to his knees before her, to swear he would never leave her side again. But before he could, movement to his left caught his eye. The bold twin had taken a step back, her hand pressed to her own stomach. Her eyes were wide, her lips trembling. She looked at her sister, then at him, disbelief and wonder warring across her face. "No," she breathed. "It cannot be." But the glow was there, faint, subtle, yet unmistakable. Her skin pulsed beneath her hand in the same quiet rhythm, the same sacred light. Her breath hitched as realization crashed over her. She looked up at him, eyes brimming with tears. "I carry you too," she whispered. "Your child lives within me." The chamber seemed to pulse with the weight of their revelations. His heart pounded so violently he thought it would tear free from his chest. Both of them. Both sisters. Both carrying his legacy, his blood, his children. He staggered back, his hands trembling as he pressed them to his face. This isn't possible," he whispered. "It can't," but even as the words left his lips, he knew they were true. He felt it in the bond that tied him to them, the invisible thread that had pulled him into their arms no matter how hard he tried to resist. Neither sister denied it. They stood there, luminous, trembling, their tears glistening in the silver dawn as the truth bound them together in a way no vow could. His wife spoke first, her voice soft, filled with both sorrow and acceptance. "Perhaps this was always fate. Our people believe in balance, in unity. One soul divided into two bodies, joined by one who completes them both." She reached for her sister's hand, though her fingers trembled. For a moment, the bold twin hesitated, her pride warring with her vulnerability. But slowly, shakily, she took it. Their joined hands glowed faintly, pulsing in harmony with the light of new life within them. The man's eyes blurred with tears. He had feared he had destroyed them both, torn them apart forever. But instead, fate had bound them even closer. He stepped forward, his hands reaching for theirs, and when his fingers touched theirs, the glow deepened, spreading like fire through the chamber. In that moment, he understood. He had not betrayed love. He had expanded it, even if by accident, even if through pain and fire. His love was no longer a choice between two women, it was a bond with both, a bond sealed by life itself. His voice trembled as he spoke. "I don't deserve either of you. And yet you both carry me, body and soul. If you'll have me, I will not be the man who divides you. I will be the man who unites you. And I will love you both, with everything I am." His wife's tears fell freely, but her lips curved into a trembling smile. "Then let it be so." Her twin's gaze was fierce, passionate, but softened now with vulnerability. "You are ours," she whispered. "Forever." He pulled them both into his arms, holding them tightly, their hearts beating against his, the glow of their bodies mingling like rivers of light. For the first time since he set foot on this alien world, he felt whole not because he had chosen, but because love had chosen for him. Time passed in silence, their breaths mingling, their tears drying against one another's skin. When at last they pulled apart, the dawn had broken fully, painting the sky with gold. The future was uncertain, but no longer fearful. They would face it together. He looked at them both, their identical faces so different yet so alike, and whispered, "I thought I had married one heart. But fate gave me two. And now, both beat for me." The sisters leaned against him, their hands resting over the glow of their wombs, their smiles soft and knowing. And in that moment, he understood he had not been trapped between two loves. He had been given the rarest gift of all, two souls, one bond, one destiny. The chamber hummed with harmony, as though the planet itself acknowledged their union. He closed his eyes, holding them close, and let himself surrender to the truth. He was theirs. They were his. And soon, the children of both would carry that bond into the stars.